Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patricia Mejia, and I serve as a Vice President of Community Engagement and Impact at the Area Foundation. Jennifer Cook and I are going to share with you a little bit of information about a grant opportunity around youth leadership development and an exciting partnership that we have with UP. How we plan to use our time together is to talk a little bit about our strategic planning process that we've been going through over the past couple of years, as well as dive deep into the actual grant process, talk about the eligibility, the application, as well as an opportunity to have an artist fellowship attached to this application should an organization choose. Finally, we'll close with contact information. We want to make sure that if you have any additional questions, we make ourselves available for that. Those of you who have applied to us before may have seen this screen before. We're really proud of our process to really continue to learn and listen from community to do better at our work. Since 2017, we've taken time consistently to ask partners where we can do better. What that has meant for us is that we've really begun to refine our work and shift our work towards equity and really look deeper into ways that we can dive into the subjects or impact areas that the Area Foundation is focused on. You can see that in 2019, we shifted to operational grants. And in 2020 and 21, we've really begun to dive deep into equity, making sure that we're looking at equity in every part of our work. In 2021, we also made sure that we switched over to multi-year grant funding. This slide really dives deep into what all of that strategic planning process has done for us. As I mentioned, it's focused on equity. What we see as our North Star is that San Antonio area residents are deeply connected, have equitable opportunities to thrive, and contribute to the vitality of the community. We want to make sure that every effort that we're working towards, whether it's our capacity building or our grant making, that we're focused head on with equity. We want to make sure that we're building a community where you have been born or who you are no longer dictates your life outcomes. We also have taken time to realize that financial resources that are made available to us through our generous donors are not our only way that we can assist community, that we also can leverage our reputation, our history to bring in other regional and national resources. This partnership that we're going to spend some time talking about has done just that, and we are very proud of that opportunity. Over the past year, we've worked very closely with UP Partnership to write into a grant to Blue Meridian Partnership. San Antonio was very proud to receive this announcement or this investment just a few months ago. The vision of this investment is very simple. We want to make sure that we're building off of all the initiatives that exist in our city. We have so many wonderful nonprofit partners, government partners who are working to reverse disparities in San Antonio. We want to make sure that we're continuing to focus on economic mobility and ensure that we have youth who are ready for their future. As I've mentioned before, the lead partner is UP Partnership. They're serving as the initiative's backbone, leading citywide planning and process. We are so proud of our partnership with them and look forward to continuing our work together. Other members will be anchor partners who are nonprofits who are across the city who have been working very closely with our youth. Our role specifically at the Area Foundation is to deepen the work by additional grant making. This particular phase of grant making is connected to youth leadership development. We're also focused on capacity building, which we'll share more with you about at a different time. We really want to take some time to dive into this process that was just opened just a couple of days ago. So I want to pass it over to our Senior Program Officer, Ms. Jennifer Cook.
Thank you, Patricia. We're going to take a few moments to walk you through the primary components of this particular grant and the application. As you heard Patricia talk about, these funds for this grant process has been made possible with support by Blue Meridian Partners and our partnership with UP. So what we're looking for is alignment to that broader citywide focus on supporting equity and supporting young people to succeed. More specifically, these grants will align with the Our Tomorrow Youth Leadership Network, and strong proposals will communicate impact on the following objectives: involving youth in decision-making processes by giving them a platform to use their voice. This is a very large component of this particular grant initiative. And we will be looking specifically at how organizations are empowering youth and allowing them to exercise their voice. We're also looking at alignment with the supporting the growth of social and emotional development. We know that this is going to be important as we move through this pandemic and into COVID recovery. We're also looking at how organizations or programs are preparing youth for their future by connecting student passion and interest to their future education and explorations. There's a lot on this slide, but for eligibility purposes, we are basically looking to fund nonprofit community-based organizations that partner with schools in the identified school feeder patterns. There are 5 high school feeder patterns that we are partnering with on this particular grant process, each within a different school district. So as you can see on the slide, we're looking at programs or organizations who currently operate a youth leadership development program with middle schools or high schools at East Central High School within East Central ISD, at Lanier High School or the Lanier High School, their middle school feeders within SAISD, San Antonio ISD, at McCollum High School within Harlandale ISD, at Legacy High School within Southwest ISD, and at Wagner High School within Judson ISD. We are looking to support programs that currently operate, and as I mentioned, currently program within those school districts. And as you can see on the slide as well, just reinforcing our commitment to advancing equity and racial justice, the commitment to participate in alignment with Our Tomorrow, and then also, as they arise, participating in capacity building opportunities. Now we'll dive into the application itself. This is a high-level overview of what you can expect when you take a look at the application. There are 5 components to it. The 4 large circles that you see there are the 4 primary components of the application, with an optional opportunity that we'll talk about further in further slides to engage with the art community and an artist fellowship. Next slide. So looking at future ready alignment, you'll see questions on the application that are really helping us understand where your organization fits in the bigger picture. We want to understand your organization's approach and commitment to equity, and how youth are invited to influence policy and decisions within their communities. And community can be defined in many ways. That could be within your organization or program specifically. It can be within the school that they attend, or it could be within their neighborhood or the broader community itself. And what we want to know from that is how organizations are leveraging the skills, knowledge, and expertise of youth as leaders and influencers within their community. So how are organizations viewing and utilizing youth as allies in decision-making, especially as it relates to racial equity and reducing disparities, versus seeing youth as subordinates and telling them what to do or telling them how they should make decisions. So I really want to emphasize the importance of bringing youth to the table in partnership with staff or other community leaders. Next slide. Just real quickly, looking at the organization's background, what we really want to know here is, who is the organization? What experience and expertise within the community do you have? Are you able to articulate a clear commitment to your organization's mission? And does that align with the work that we just spoke about in our partnership with Blue Meridian Partners and UP? Also looking at organizational leadership and strength. So this is just, again, an overview of who the organization is and their history in the community. Another aspect of the application will be a strength of program. And so this is looking specifically at your youth leadership development program. And what we want to know is what programs out there have experience and expertise in serving youth, especially by centering their voice. You'll hear that a lot throughout this presentation. How are your services delivered? And with that service delivery, how do you engage youth in the program through recruitment, through decision-making, through determining program services? In addition, we also are curious with the strength of program, how programs have adapted, in particular to the COVID-19 pandemic. And so you'll see questions framed around those bullet points that you see on this slide. Now, this is a really interesting aspect. This is an optional piece of the application. This is an opportunity for youth development programs to consider. And please know that this is not required. The questions on this aspect of the application should only be answered if your organization is choosing to pursue this opportunity. And the Artist Fellowship is an opportunity for youth organizations to connect with the art community to emphasize creative and collaborative processes among youth. What we're interested in is how organizations are utilizing art-based strategy with a local artist or artist collective to collaborate with youth participants, ultimately to bring a variety of creative skills, processes, and or experiences into the program that youth are participating in. Strong applicants will have some level of experience with cultural practice and art-based strategies. And one thing that I'll point out here, because this is so new, we would like any questions directed, any questions about the Artist Fellowship directed to our program officer, Stephanie LaFrosia. And you can see her contact information here on this slide. It is also on our website. Finally, this is a pretty standard aspect of our grant application processes. You'll have some questions around financial health. One thing that you may see different than past applications is that we are asking for both a program budget, a specific program budget on your youth leadership development program, as well as the overall agency budget. And you'll see that in the 3-year financial summary. And I'll just take a quick moment to explain why we're asking for both. The program budget will help us understand more specifically how your youth program operates. It'll help us look at what portion of the overall budget goes into supporting your youth development work. It'll also allow us to just see how your program utilizes cost across different aspects of service. The financial summary, again, is just high-level agency budget. That allows us to kind of understand the organization at a broader level. And it also allows us to help understand what size of a financial investment would be needed to possibly scale your program or a youth development project in the future.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our last real detailed note on the awards is the actual amount. As I've shared with you, we've really been trying to listen to community and understand what are the needs of the nonprofit community. And one of the things that we heard most is that we want to make sure that we're creating an opportunity for all budget sizes, all different sizes of organizations to not only compete, but to also win grant applications. And so what we've done is we've created these different budget categories, including a new one. This is the first time we're going to do it for under $40,000. We know that each size of organization has their unique contributions to the community, and we want to make sure that we honor that. So you can see on the screen listed that we have grant awards per budget size. What we're anticipating on doing, of course, dependent on the applications that we receive, but what we're anticipating is giving 2 to 4 grant awards per budget category with a total of about 15 grants. I think we mentioned, but just in case we didn't, this entire process is $660,000 is what we have available over 2 years. So this is a multi-year grant. If you receive it this first year, you'll also receive it again next year, assuming that all things are going well with your grant, with your program. These will be general operating grants. So even though you're submitting the program budget, you will be able to use these however you deem is necessary, as long as the program initiatives and deliverables are being accomplished. As I mentioned earlier, the grant application has already opened on March the 1st. We want to make sure that we make ourselves as available as needed for people as they start to look at the grant application. So we have a few program officers available to answer any questions as you start to dig in, and they're available until April the 7th until 4 o'clock. You have a few extra days with our grant administrator, Catherine, if you have technical assistance needs as you start to get into the software and you have some additional questions, she'll be available until April the 9th at 4 o'clock. The application deadline is April the 11th, just before midnight, so at 11:59. We expect to let folks know about their award notification, or either way, between May 17th and May 31st. Just a couple of reminders. You do have up until just before midnight on April the 11th to submit your application. We really encourage you to print a copy of all the required documents and attachments just so that you have for your records. We also suggest that if at all possible, prior to submission, have someone look or double check, read the application. Sometimes we notice that we're all working so hard that we might have done a cut and paste from a different application and something might not have transferred over. And because we're into it so much, we might have just overlooked it. So if you have someone on your team that can look at it, that would be advisable. And last, even though the application deadline is April the 11th, you're always able to submit the application before the deadline. As I promised at the beginning, here are some contact information of our program officers who can help you. Catherine Garcia is, as I mentioned, our grant administrator. She's really the guru for anything connected to our grant portal. So you have her email information as well as her phone number there. Gavin Nichols as well as Jennifer Cook are the primary senior program officers attached to our partnership with UP. So you both have their email and their phone numbers there if you have any questions about the actual grant application. And last, we really encourage you, if you have a specific question about the Art Fellowship, which I think is a wonderful and unique opportunity to make sure that we're really connecting to our artist community, that you reach out to Stephanie LaFrosia, who is our program officer connected to cultural vibrancy. We thank you so much for the time that you took to listen in. I want to just close by saying thank you, a huge thank you to Jennifer, who has taken on the leadership role of really getting this off the ground with UP. We're very grateful to Jennifer. And also, just to close, we want to make sure that at any time you have any questions for us, please reach out. We want to make ourselves available. We hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, thank you for being with us.